Hey guys, Matt Allen, Tim Little, welcome back to Tactical Bassin. Today we are doing another buyer's guide for you. We're talking about Squarebill Crankbaits. Already done deep divers, we've already done lipless. Today we're talking about Squarebills because it is one of both of our favorite ways to catch them. We're going to talk about our tried and true baits, our absolute favorites. We're going to talk about some of the new fare from this year, maybe some options that you haven't played with yet that you're probably going to want to be throwing this coming spring. You want to kick it off?
Yeah, absolutely. We have our tried and true favorites, right, that we've thrown for years. Tons of fish catches, tons of confidence, but there's a few that we want to throw in there, so make sure you guys stick around till the end. So right off the bat, I'm going to go with the Lucky Craft, the 1.5. Phenomenal Squarebill. Great colors, great action. It's a bait you can throw in 2 feet of water. You can throw it in 4 to 5 feet of water. You can burn it very quickly. Kind of a fast float. It's easy to fish over tops of grass. But the Lucky Craft, the 1.5, is a great Squarebill.
My first bait, my favorite Squarebill, is going to be the River to Sea Biggie. The difference between the two, the Lucky Craft silent bait. That Biggie, it's got a deep rattle in it. Big single knocker in there. Very different sound profiles in the water. One is sneaking up on them, super aggressive. You can stop and go with that bait. Really just get it right in their face, stop, run, but there's no sound coming with it. The Biggie on the other end of the spectrum is coming in big and loud and aggressive, and they eat it. That's both of us, those are our favorites. Tim loves that Lucky Craft. I love the Biggie, and then if they're not eating one, we go to the other.
Yeah, it's kind of a preference thing. You know, we've talked about it in videos in the past. Some of you guys may have heard, but difference of opinion sometimes on sound. You know, I feel that I get bigger bites on Squarebills that kind of sneak up on the fish that are silent.
I feel like I catch fish.
Yeah. So the next bait I'm going to go with is going to be the Squarebill by 6 Cents. 6 Cents has been around now for a few years. And they've really made a push. They're coming out with some great colors, some great baits. The Crush line of Squarebills comes in different sizes. This one's got a little bit of a rattle to it.
We waited a long time to talk about that bait because we hadn't put enough time into it, but we had fun with that bait this fall.
Yeah, it's an easy bait to fish. It's a very fun, and again, it's a little larger profile, kind of like the Biggie. So in your bodies of water, we have larger bait fish.
Get that wide kick.
Yeah, you get that real aggressive, that real wide thump. There's fish busting down there in that pool, but getting distracted, guys. But yes, the Crush right there, guys. That is a bait you guys should check out. And now they've upgraded their split rings and hooks, so you don't necessarily have to upgrade if you don't want to.
That's a nice option because a lot of these others you do. And like every video, down in the video description, we're going to link every bait, some color recommendations, as well as the hooks and split rings, rods, reels, all that stuff that you want to use to maximize your hookup to land ratio. Because a lot of these baits, even when you're paying for high dollar baits, you need to upgrade hardware in order to maximize your time and not have those fish jump off. Now going to one that you probably have not played with, Lucky Craft Classical Leader. It's a bait that just showed up on Tackle Warehouse, but it is not a new bait. Luckily we don't have to buy them in Japan anymore. Finally, they brought it over to the US market. That is a bait that, what I like about it, it's a very simple bait. They make 2 versions of it. One will run a little bit deeper. It's more like a MidDiver. The other one is a super shallow runner. Dirt shallow. And that is hard to find in the Squarebill game. There's a lot of baits that run in that 2, 3, 4 foot zone. Very few baits that run in that 6-inch, 1 foot zone where those fish get up and they're chasing bait and they're pushing the bank, or you got pre-spawners going up really, really shallow. Very few people have a bait that you can burn in that shallow, shallow water, and that's one of them. And then again, there's a second option to go deeper.
Yeah, key. Getting above even if you're in 4 or 5 feet of water, but the grass is coming up to 3.5 feet or 4 feet, you can throw these shallow running baits over the tops and tick those blades of grass and get those fish to react. The next bait I'm going to talk about is the Moonsault. This is actually a little crankbait. It's not even really a Squarebill.
It's not a Squarebill. It's a shallow runner.
It's a shallow runner. But what I like about this is another bait by Lucky Craft, is the sound. I'm not sure if you guys can hear this. but it's got that real kind of rattle trappy, LV, lipless crankbait sound to it. So now you're combining the sound of a lipless crankbait with the action and the deflection of a lipless crankbait, and it's a win-win, guys. The Moonsault by Lucky Graph.
That is an interesting category because we love throwing square bills. We love burning them, deflecting, bouncing off cover, stop and go, and getting those aggressive bites. But if you're on a fishery where a lot of people throw them, you always want to be different. And those last two baits, I think, both play into that category, going super shallow, as well as getting a very different sound profile. It doesn't sound like any other shallow running square bill. It's that high pitch, glass bead, very different sound. Along those same lines, Megabass, Sonic side, it's a very narrow bait, flat-sided crankbait. Again, you're in that same super tight, almost like a lipless, but this time you're silent. Still have a square bill, so you've got that deflection, but you're running like a lipless. Again, it's just a different profile, different approach to those fish. And then the last one I'm going to talk about.
You get to go again?
I get to go again.
I'm out of baits.
You're out of baits. Tackle Drunker. Technically probably doesn't belong in the square bill category because it's a deeper running bait. MidDiver. But it does have a squared off bill. And that's why I wanted to bring this bait up. Because it's a very tiny bait. I mean, it's very small profiled. Very little sound. It's got some rattle to it, but it's not a lot. Springtime. So they have killer crawdad patterns, and that's what I want to get to. Because springtime is coming. And you noticed in the biggie, too. The color I picked out to hold up here, that color is called Cold-Blooded. Do you see a trend here? Springtime, those iridescent craw colors, for me, really stand out. Especially in a smaller profiled bait. It's fishing in that 5 to 8 foot of water range, but you're getting that same strong deflection that you can get out of a square bill. You get those fish that are coming up and staging before you can even start catching them. On a square bill, you get a 1-2 punch on those fish. That's another one worth thinking about because right now, here we are, December. It's winter time, but it's right around the corner. Right around the corner. So it's time to start dreaming, at least, about springtime because it's coming quick.
Yeah, another square bill I'd like to talk about real quickly, or just mention. I'm just gonna mention it. It would be the Strike King square bill. It's a fairly inexpensive bait. Tons of colors. If you want to get into square billing, that is another one to check out. We'll leave that down below. But you guys, square bills is one of my favorite ways to catch them. Cruising the bank, you're burning. You got the trolling motor on high. You're covering a lot of water, and you're not just. I mean,
And it's fun.
It is. You're popping the rod. You're making that bait deflect. You're making that bait kind of make the fish react to it, and you can trigger those bites that you might not necessarily get if the fish weren't in the feeding mode. So square bills is a great reaction bait, easy to fish, fun to fish. You can burn them, you can pop them, you can rip them, and it's just fun, man.
I think that's it. We won't delve into rods, reels, line, all that stuff. Again, we'll leave that in the video description to make it easy because the purpose of these buyer's guides is simplification. This is a handful of baits to cover the whole depth range with a couple different sound profiles. The rods and reels, if you guys already saw in the lipless video, if you scooped up one of those rods, they're going to be the same rods. That's one of the nice things. Square bills and lipless, if you get the right rod for the job, it does double duty. We use the exact same models for both of those. But we'll link all that down there. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon.
See you guys.